If your portions look like this, then yeah, you're probably not gonna be losing weight. But if your portions look like this, then guess what? You're probably not gonna lose a lot of weight either. As a nutritionist, portion sizes and what are the correct portion sizes is one of the questions I get asked about the most. And a lot of people get it wrong. Usually they get it wrong for one of these three reasons. Number one, their portion sizes are too big. Number two, their portion sizes are too small. Or number three, they listen to external rules and regulations. So today I'm gonna walk you through each of the three mistakes, why they happen, and the solutions, so you can get the right portion sizes. So first mistake, eating portions that are too big. Like if you were to eat this entire pizza all by yourself, just this pizza and nothing else, which is something that's actually pretty common, and this pizza isn't actually that big compared to all the pizzas you may see when you go out to eat at restaurants or when you order pizza. This happens because we've been conditioned by restaurants and by ads and by videos we watch of all this excessive foods in huge amounts, because as usual, the idea is to push the consumer to consume and buy as much as possible. But the issue with this visual habituation is that it then translates into our experience because of the taste and the pleasure that come with it. We actually get used to eating these quantities. And when we don't have these quantities, when we actually go back to more standard portion sizes, we're not satisfied anymore. If you're used to eating a big, thick pizza with a bunch of cheese and a bunch of sauce, and that's the experience you crave, then you're not gonna be satisfied with a quarter of a really thin vegetable pizza. And also, chances are, if you have a portion like this on your plate, then you're gonna finish it, even if you're full, because that's what we've been told. We need to finish our plates. It's normal. We can't have leftovers. We can't throw away anything. We're not allowed to be full. So now here are the solutions to this problem. First, you need to familiarize yourself with standard serving sizes or portion sizes. Now, I'm not saying that everything that you read on the back of a label is going to be the exact amount you need to eat. Not at all. This is just to give you a general idea, because maybe you've never looked at a serving size. You have no idea how much you're supposed to eat. The goal with this is just to kind of retrain your eyes a little bit to see what that can look like. It doesn't mean that you have to follow it. It doesn't mean that you need to weigh everything and count everything. I really want to insist on this. It's just to give you this visual representation that you can have in mind when you are making your meals and you want to have more appropriate portion sizes. But this should not be the only thing you look at. We're gonna talk about what's more important after. But here's something you can do really easily after this video. Watch the full video first. Is you can measure whatever you have in your house that you eat regularly and see if this looks like the serving sizes that you have for yourself. For instance, this pasta, the serving size that is said on the box is about 100 grams. So I'm going to weigh that and see how much that actually is. So here's what we have. Look at this and try to ask yourself, is this what you thought a serving size of pasta would look like? Now, this is 100 grams of pasta dry, but if we cook it, that's gonna be more because it's gonna obviously boil in water and absorb the water. But usually when you look at servings, they're gonna mention if they mean like cooked or not, and usually if it's not mentioned, then it's dry or raw. Now, the good thing about learning about serving sizes is that the goal here is not for me to have this amount of pasta every time and not one pasta more, like, no, not at all. But it's also good to understand usually what is meant with these serving sizes. Usually they're gonna have in mind a balanced plate, and they're gonna see this just as the kind of carb source for your meal, and they're anticipating that you're going to add a source of protein and some veggies, and this is only going to be part of your meal. But me, when I have pasta, I love to have that as my main dish. This means I'm going to have way more pasta than this. Another tool you can use to make sure that your portion sizes aren't too big or too small is the plate method. Now, I made a whole video on that you can check out here if you're interested, but I'm just gonna show you what that looks like. So what you're gonna do for the plate method is you're gonna take a plate. This one is bigger than like standard size plates, which are about 9 inches, but I really wanted to be able to show you well, so I'm not gonna fill up the whole entire plate. The visuals are what matters here. As usual, it's not about counting or measuring anything. And you're going to divide your plate into thirds in your mind. On 1/3 of this plate, you're gonna put carbs. Now for another third of the plate, you are going to put protein. And for the last third, you're going to put veggies. And so this is the final plate. As you can see, we have a nice mix of rice for the carbs, tofu for the protein, and green beans for the veggies. And again, this looks pretty small because the plate is big, but these are serving sizes that work for me, for what I would eat in a meal. Now, in my previous Create a Healthy Plate videos, I used to recommend that you would have 1/4 of carbs and 1/4 of protein and half veggies. But honestly, I just didn't find that super realistic. When I ate like that, I find myself being hungrier quicker and then just having other food later on. So I just think it's best, honestly, to do the 1/3. I feel like it's more realistic, but you're free to do what works for you. Now, another important aspect that you need to understand is caloric density. This means that if you are used to having a full plate of pizza and you want to eat healthier, so you switch to this tiny plate of salad, you can understand here, it's not too hard to understand that obviously that's not gonna fill you up in the same way. But now let's say you wanted to have this huge plate of salad in order to replace this tiny slice of pizza. You have one of these food items that does not take up a lot of plates, like this is very calorie dense, and then you have another that takes up a lot of room. That's not calorie dense. There's a lot of volume for not a lot of calories. Now, what should you do? I'm not gonna say you need to eat this instead of this. That's not gonna work. If you eat foods that have too high volume and too low calories, it's gonna fill up your stomach artificially. So you're gonna feel full for a little bit, but you're not gonna be getting the nutrients you need. So you're just gonna be all filled up and then you're gonna starve 2 hours later. Now, I don't recommend going for calorie dense foods only either, because with this tiny slice of pizza, that's probably gonna be enough of your calories that you would need for a snack, let's say, but you're not gonna hit all the nutrient requirements and you're gonna be starving a few minutes later as well. What you do need to do is mix and match, of course. For instance, this would be a pretty good balance where you're having a few slices of pizza and you're having half a plate of salad. So now let's move on to the second problem that a lot of people have, and that is eating portions that are too small. Yes, you heard that right. If you eat portions that are too small, that will prevent you from losing weight. So what are the causes for this? Well, first, diet culture has told us that we need to be having small portions. We need to be eating 1,000 calories a day. If even that's already a lot. And we need to restrict if we want to be fit and healthy and have the right body. Another reason why this happens as well is because after a lot of overeating, it's pretty common for the pendulum to swing the other way, and you may feel like the only way to lose weight is to drastically restrict your portions, drastically cut what you were eating before. Spoiler alert, no. And there's this huge fear of gaining weight. People think eat big, be big, eat small, be small.
If you want to be small, you eat small. And if you want to be big, you have to eat big.
If I eat this plate of salad, I'm gonna be so small. But if I add pizza to the salad, no. Definite immediate weight gain. But the problem when you do that, and when this is the type of meal you have, you start to fill the void with something else. Like you're gonna sit there and make the salad and eat it and be all proud, and then when you walk back to your fridge to kind of clean your kitchen, you're gonna see this slice of pizza right there, and you're gonna be like, oh, let me just take a bite. Just one bite. You can't even help yourself. It just calls you. It just calls you to take a bite. And then you're like, well, I already had one bite, might as well have another bite. And then at this point, you're like, well, I'm almost done with that slice anyway. Might as well finish it so I don't have to like wrap it and save it for later. But the problem is that you didn't even enjoy that slice because you didn't really sit down and appreciate it and have it in a mindful way. You just had it standing up mindlessly and telling yourself the whole time that you shouldn't be having it and then feeling guilty for having it. So it's not going to be satisfying. It's not going to hit the spot for your craving. And then what are you going to do a few hours later in the afternoon? You're going to walk past your cabinets. You're going to see this. You're going to see this whole thing of chocolate and you're going to want some and you're going to eat it. Probably way more than what you wanted to initially. So here the solutions are very simple. You need to understand that your body needs fuel. Your body cannot function if it doesn't have enough calories. If you do not give it enough calories, it will go get the calories by making you have these cravings that you can't resist for energy. Portioning from a plate of nourishment is also important to learn. That's what we were talking about earlier. So if you're portioning from a restrictive mentality, that would look like having this and that being your meal and allowing yourself to have the salad, but just on this small plate and no sauce, and that's it. Or it could also look like weighing the pasta we weighed earlier, weighing exactly 100 grams and telling yourself, I will have this pasta without any oil, any butter, any cheese, just this pasta, no sauce. So that doesn't work, of course. What you should be doing is what we talked about earlier, seeing from a place of nourishment, thinking about what your body needs. Your body needs some carbs. Rice is a fine carb. Your body also needs some protein. Again, tofu is a great source of that. Your body needs some veggies, some fiber. Again, green beans. And in this plate, we could also be adding some fat sources. I would probably have some coconut milk in my rice in order to make it a little bit tastier. But when you're making this plate, you're not thinking about restricting or dieting, you're thinking about which nutrients you can bring to your body so you can then have energy and go about your day. And you also want to make it enjoyable. And at the end of this meal, I'm gonna have a little sweet treat, maybe some chocolate, whatever sounds good to me from a place of nourishment and enjoyment and not restriction. And finally, a reason why you may not be good with portion sizes is because you're listening to external rules instead of tuning into your body. This is not your fault because diet culture teaches you not to listen to your body. It teaches you that you should throw away all your signals and instead buy this diet plan or buy this juicing cleanse or buy this meal prep thing that you get delivered to your door every day. So diet culture just wants to take the most natural thing, your own hunger fullness cues, turn that into a whole business because you don't know how to eat, you don't know best, and instead buy their product. The issue with that is that so many people don't even know how to eat anymore because they feel like they can't trust themselves because that's what diet culture has told them. It's totally normal that after a while of not listening to what your body is telling you, that your cues don't really make sense. You feel like you don't have them. You feel like you can't listen to them. So that's normal. Now the solutions, of course, involve moving away from diet culture, moving away from all of these rules, cutting yourself away from them as much as possible. You need to stop with this new fad diet, with this new product, this new pill, this new food. No, you don't need to be doing that. You just need to learn to create healthy, balanced meals. Eat in a way that also satisfies you, nourishes you. I have a video on healthy eating for beginners. You can check it out here or in the description. It's important that you learn to create the correct portion sizes like we talked about earlier, and that you also add a little bit of fun to them. So that can look like having some pizza with your salad and then having maybe a fruit salad for dessert, or that can look like having a meal made from mainly whole ingredients, whole foods, but then you're gonna have a little bit of chocolate for dessert to hit that sweet spot and fuel your soul and satisfy your craving. Because if you do not do that, you will binge. There is no way around it. You may keep this going for a little bit, but after a while, you will binge. So then you'll feel even more guilty, you'll start to restrict even more, and then you'll binge even more to compensate, and the cycle goes on and on. Your metabolism will slow down because you're restricting so much, and it's gonna be harder and harder and harder to lose weight. And of course, a crucial thing you need to do is to learn to reconnect to your hunger and fullness signals. And for that, I have my trusty hunger fullness scale that you can check out here. And I made a whole video on using this hunger scale that you can check out here or in the description. But just to give you a quick little rundown of what it is, basically you should be rating yourself from 1 to 10 on the scale, 1 being you're ravenous, 10 being you're super full, overly stuffed, and 5 being a neutral middle ground. Try to start eating when you're about 3, and then to stop eating, that can be around a 7. And the more you listen to your body and the more you acknowledge what it wants, the easier it's going to be for you to receive these signals, because the signals exist. You just need to tune in, and you need to give your body that trust. A small guideline you can use to help if you find that this is too hard is use the 3 to 4 hour rule. So basically a meal should keep you full for about 3 to 4 hours. If you start getting hungry an hour or 2 after your meal, then probably the portions were too small and you need to increase them. But if it's been 6, 7, 8 hours after your meal and you're still not hungry, then probably your portions were too big. So as you can see, portion sizes is not about the strict calculations and measuring things and using your palm or your fingers or whatever to measure. No, you don't need to do that. It's more about learning what a balanced meal looks like and familiarizing yourself with portion sizes, but then using this just as a knowledge that you can tap into in order to make your own meals that listen to your body's internal cues. And so that guidance can really come from within and not from the numbers. So that's it for this video. I really hope that it was helpful. If you enjoyed it, don't forget to like it and subscribe, and see you on my next one. Bye.